Peace. This is the Ask Your Oldhead podcast with Justice Rajee. Today, I'm sharing an episode with my guest, Walter Robinson, someone I've known here in the community, and I've had the good fortune to do some work in community work with over the last few years, and look to do more in the future. I'm not going to talk too much. I'm just going to get into it, but I want to give respects and love to Walter and his family, and to you, the listener. Enjoy. Peace. Peace. This is the Ask Your Oldhead podcast with Justice Rajee. I'm here with my guest, Walter Robinson II.
Yep.
Is that correct? All right. We're going to get started. So, Walter, welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Right. So we start
way too long.
Well, everything in its time. The first thing we always start with is just giving you a moment to give reverence, props, respects to somebody you want to give them to.
Well, it's been an interesting week for me. It's been a crazy week, actually. But I want to give props to my grandma. She just recently had open heart surgery yesterday. And it was successful. And she's recovering, doing well. But it's been nice to see the family wrap their arms around her and focus on her and not just their petty family squabbles. So,
Word up.
Yeah. She's doing good, in good health. And that
Peace
just
to
makes me
grandma.
happy. I know, right?
Yeah. Word. All right. We're going to roll.
Okay.
So,
Also, props to you. Thank you for having me here today as well.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate you joining me and sharing on my platform. I appreciate it. It's a long time coming, as you said earlier. Okay. So, here we go. Can you give me a standard or practice, something that you try to do and how you move through the world?
Yeah. I was thinking about this a little bit last night when you sent the questions, or when I actually looked at the questions. And one thing that I think I've carried through that I've learned from my father is, as I rise, don't forget to send the elevator back down. Mm-hmm. And that is kind of like an old man parable. It's an old head parable. But no, it's something that has resonated very deeply in the work that I do. That's why a lot of the work that I do is around connecting people. Mm-hmm. I believe in sharing that social success and wealth with folks to help them build and become themselves or their best selves.
All right. Now, is there any experiences that have helped you to emphasize or stick to that, that principle? Anything that you've either personally experienced or went through that's I really got to make sure I hold this up?
Oh man, well, there's a ton, but my most memorable one is from my shiro, my big sis, who's just my first cousin, but feels like an older sister. I remember when I was 13, she just signed me up for something she was doing with her school when she was in college. And she took me on a trip to Stanford for their math and engineering camp or something for a few days. And it was nice because I got to do a road trip with her and her friends.
That's cool.
And a few other young folk. And that was my first experience, real experience where I understood what college was. And I knew after that I wanted to go. And Stanford was on my list, but I didn't get accepted to Stanford. Not a legacy child. And I guess I wasn't smart enough. My SAT score said differently, but whatever. No, but it was just a really amazing experience that let me know that once you get here, the world is kind of your oyster. And even though I read and write for a living and don't do the math and arithmetic, that experience kind of let me know that I wanted to go to college and that this is something that I know that I'm going to do. Which is also interesting because that is the same year where I started working. And I worked for I worked with my stepfather, who was a tow truck driver. I did that for the whole summer. and that was some hard, tough work. Hooking cars up to this flatbed tow truck and then driving them all around the city of LA. And I would say, yeah, this is something I will never do again. Yeah,
this is not what I want.
Yep. Thank you for that learning experience. But it was experiences like those because someone did that for my cousin as well. And that's where it brings me back to that line. It's like, as you rise, don't forget to send the elevator back down. And she thought about me because she was the first on my dad's side of the family to go to college. So she kind of showed me the way and mentored me and helped me be my best in order to get into college. So that's a moment I'll never forget that keeps the passion and fire within me that makes me do the work that I do, especially with young folks.
That must have been fun riding like as a early teenager with older folks to a college campus.
It felt so cool. It's it's like my cousin, she thought about me. She thinks I'm cool enough to be with her and her friends.
Right.
But also it was cool because it was a lot of her friends invited like their little brothers or sisters or cousins too.
Cool. So a lot of other folks your age too. It wasn't just the one 13-year-old with all the 19, 20.
Nah, but everyone else, I was the youngest. So I was like, everybody else was like 16, 17. And I'm like, damn, y'all ready to go to college? I'm like, I just left middle school.
Right. Right. I just, as I like to call it, begun academic warfare at ninth grade.
Right. Because I can't imagine if we had to buy like books in high school in comparison to college.
I think something you shared there is cool too, because even pinpointing on the idea like of college or any kind of educational setting that you're not familiar with, someone taking you and like then you walk around and you kind of, okay, like if you had reservations, at least gives you an opportunity to be like, okay, this is still planet Earth. You know what I'm saying? It's like there are humans in there, and they're not three-eyed monsters and stuff.
But also like I didn't realize how brilliant my cousin was until then. Like it's like I knew she was smart, but I was like, God damn, you are really smart. Just because like math is not really my thing. At that point, I was up to like algebra 2, and I was doing okay in it. But I'm like, I don't see how this is going to apply in my life past calculus, right? So, but what was also really cool about it is seeing people that looked like me taking trips like this. But also even when we got to the campus, that was just amazing. Because I think it was led by their like black student mathematician something, our engineering program. And just seeing that, like I'm like, man, like I know I can be here and I know I can do this. And it's kind of like, well, if you don't, it's like who disappointed a lot of people here.
We're all gonna be upset with
right?
you, Walter.
It felt that way though. And like it was
we're counting on you.
Right? And like an interesting weight to be put on a 13-year-old's shoulders, but also very eye-opening and enlightening. Which is something that I always want to pass down experiences. It's kind of like reminds me of the Maya Angelou quote, right? People may not remember what you said or what you did, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. And that was a special moment for me and my cousin. So
dope.
Shout out to her too, because she's having a baby next month.
Shout out to Walter's cousin. One love.
Right.
And the baby.
Right. I'm going to have you listen to this because you should have named the baby Walter. I don't care if you're having a girl.
Yeah, a girl could be named Walter.
Right. That's a gender neutral name. I've been telling
call her Walty or something.
Right. Waltella.
Yeah, man.
Waltanisha. Well, yeah,
don't give up. Don't give up on that.
Right. Wally. That's a good. That's.
Yeah. Who knows?
It's like Dakota. Gender neutral. Okay.
Cool. So I'm circling back to something you said there, bro. The next one. So relationships, broadly defined. Is there something that you have learned or you understand now about relationships that you may have done or used or accessed differently as a younger man? And like I said, that's broad. Like, however that lands with you this morning.
So relationships on a broader spectrum. I think a lot of things my parents said when I was younger, I really understand now as I'm like going through it. Like, it's kind of one of those moments. Like, were you spanked as a child?
Like a couple times.
Okay.
I wasn't whatnot.
Well, I feel like you weren't a bad kid. Like,
I
but
mean,
if you were a bad
it's
kid,
a conceptually
like, right,
conceptual
it's
concept.
eye of the beholder, right? I feel like you were just the smart and silent one in the back. I'm not far off, I feel.
Okay.
But no, a lot of things, and I only said that because, like, when you're spanked over something you're not supposed to do, that's always the first thing that pops in your mind when that inevitable thing comes up again.
Okay.
So that's that's been interesting. Like, just actually really listening to my parents and that preparation in which prepared me for the opportunity when it strikes, right? So when we talk about relationships, the business I work in is a very relationship-based business. It kind of goes back, well, I think you already know this. I love people. I love people a little too much because I feel like it takes me 15 minutes to say goodbye while we're leaving a place with a lot of people I know. But I think when it comes to relationships, I think authenticity is the key. And my parents have always taught me to be honest and truthful with folks, which may come off a little Asperger-y when you first, when I first meet folks. I'm just excited to genuinely learn more about them and see where we align, right? I think us as people have more in common than not. So you have to actively listen to understand those commonalities. Now, when it comes to the relationship piece, yes. So I didn't realize, when my dad used to tell me, like, you're going to find someone who, like, has heard my name or something because he used to play football at San Jose State. And I never thought that would ever happen when I played football. Then I'm at a game in Washington, and like I think this was the first year I'd started. And this was like the third game, and make a tackle, like a solo sack or something, and they say my name over the
Like the
little speaker, the audio,
the speakers,
whatever.
Yeah.
And after the game, one of my teammates' dad, never met this man before, comes up to me and asks me, "Are you the Rock son? Like, are you Walter Robinson's son?" I was like, "Well, yeah, like I'm the second." But he's like, "Wait, but the Walter Robinson from like Pasadena, San Jose State?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I know your dad would play football there." I'm like, "Oh, okay." But the cool thing about that is like it eventually led to us working together. It solidified a friendship between me at the time, a sophomore, with a senior. And I think that that's always cool. It's like seeing where relationships can take you. If you just become comfortable with the uncomfortable, right? There's another relationship-based thing. So when I first got here, back when I used to go to church, I joined this group called Brothers in Christ. Now, this is a very interesting group of folks. I would say interesting group of folks. I would just say a very white group of folks who are like, Catholics, any religion you could think of, they're accepting of, but really what they mean is like white Anglo-Christians. You can be Catholic, that's cool, because a lot of our Catholic are like Jesuit. And then me coming from a Catholic school, but being raised non-denominational, and then my stepfather being a Muslim. It's an interesting mix of religions in my household. But I think with this one, when we talk about relationships, every month they have someone speak at this meeting. Yeah. Okay. And the first question they start off with is, "Tell me your story," right? And people usually like throw out their resumes and yada, yada, yada. But before they even try to do that, the person who runs it all says, "I need you to go deeper than that. Like we're past the surface level kind of deal." And it's so crazy seeing these high profile people in rooms crying, man, like being very vulnerable with each other is a space that I have not been in since I played sports. And when we took it there, right? Like late night bus rides, conversations, or post-game conversations with some folks. And that was a really cool space to be in, especially as a 23, 24-year-old when I first got here. And I went on, or they have an annual retreat. So I went on the retreat one year, and I had just left my job at a strategic communications firm. And I went from there to the retreat, like fun employed. And
from leaving the job to the retreat, like
no, it was like within a month because I went home for a little while. But I went from there to the retreat, and I ended up I told the person who like runs it all, he's become a mentor of a sort, and he introduced me to someone who ended up becoming my boss. And we hit it off and just had a really good conversation, sat down and chatted for a little while. And then we said that we would get coffee. Well, he was running for office, and he asked me to volunteer for his campaign. One of the only politicians I think I truly believed in, but then also saw him put his money where his mouth was when he got elected, given the work we did, and just like that authenticity we were talking about earlier. His name was Jules Bailey, and prior to him winning, I was working at the Boy Scouts of America, but I was also volunteering for his campaign. So we just became friends, learned a lot about politics, and I was looking for an in, and I told him this earlier on at the retreat. And then when he got elected, the next day he gives me a call and says, would I like to join his team? So I think when it comes to relationships, it's taking advantage of who you meet and just following up. That gets you a long way. You know, that's something we teach the young men in Black Male Achievement Summer Youth Experience. Yeah. It really won't click for them until they graduate high school, but some of them hit up. I don't think they understand the network that they build in those 8 weeks until later on in their life, when it actually matters.
Yeah, you hit on a couple of things I want to tease out and let me know if I'm on the right path.
Okay.
One, it sounded like you were speaking of being, when you are in those spaces where you're kind of connecting with people, like to really be yourself.
Yeah.
Like to really try to, be in the moment, but share, maybe try to share appropriately, but be there. You know what I mean? Like don't sort of go like, let me tell everybody about here's my pitch and here's my three sentence.
A little elevator speech.
You know what I'm saying? Hookup that I do. Yep.
You got me? Okay.
Yeah, you good. Yeah, my 3-minute hookup that I do when I come into the networking event. Like, hey, how you doing? I'm playing the road so I'm here's the card. You know what I'm saying? Like, slow down, man.
But we've all been there. Like, I'm not gonna say that's how I started.
Yeah, well, no, that's at least for me, and I know I'm a little older than you. When I was into high school, and that was literally how people were telling you to what to do. Like go to a networking event, get what you're gonna say together, and get your card, and go in and always do like this, and here's my card.
They're still doing that.
And it used to be like, this feels so wrong. Like it's one thing to have a card to give and to talk, but it felt like like I'm giving everybody this pitch about the world that I don't even know if I believe in all the way. Here's my card.
And I'm still waiting to grow up. So I'm like, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. So it's nice to just cast that broad net, right? Mm-hmm. But that's funny. The networking deal. I've been there and done that.
I've been that.
Had the speech written out. That's what I'm going to say.
Be there with your suit, ill-fitting suit. You know what I'm saying?
Got a few of those.
You got, you got your necktie kind of looking like you didn't really like it, but that's the one you took because you didn't want to tell the guy at the sales floor that I don't really like the way this looks.
It was a gift, Justice.
Yeah, you just gotta wear it. I'm just saying.
How many Father's Day ties do you have?
Oh, well, not that many. Unfortunately, my children, they don't really love me. Nah, they do. I'm teasing. Nah, I'm let that ride.
Like, I don't wanna,
they don't really care about me.
Edit that out.
They don't give me ties that much, though, only because I probably don't.
They don't ever see you in.
I don't have to wear a tie most of the time. So they haven't probably, sometimes they remember to get me stuff. Sometimes they don't. I don't know how they feel about me. I think they like me.
I think they love you for sure. But
I got that going.
That like piece. It's silly.
You don't have to like me. You just have to respect me. Right? Going back to the you just need to respect me. You know what I mean? But also, just a quick reference rollback. I would say in terms of the, as I like to call, physical discipline as a youth, you didn't really have to hit me more than one time for me to go, okay, I need to change my strategy.
I'm with you.
The concern of being hit was much more of I'm not really trying to find out. I'm not trying to test those bounds. You know what I mean? So, and then I would say, I think somewhere in there, my father died when I was really young. And I think somewhere in there, my mother, I don't know if she wasn't really into it or, just sort of was like, all right, we're going to, try some other things. I would say generally, I didn't do a lot of things. I didn't get caught doing a lot of things I wasn't supposed to be doing. I'm just going to keep it 100 with you.
We were both in the same boat there with didn't get caught doing a lot of things. I got caught early on, but then I learned and adapted.
Now, I've been put out the car. Like when you be doing something like, we're going to stop the car. You be like, hi, and we're going to stop the car. That what I did. We're going to stop the car. And then they put us out the car.
Oh, and made you walk?
They just set us outside. We didn't know what was going to happen. It was really late in Trenton. And me, my brother, and my cousin was standing outside for this body house like, are they going to let us back in the car? How far is this going to go? We sitting there like, they really did put us out the car. Yeah. And I said, well, I ain't going to say nothing. I'm getting back. We're going to get back in the car, man. I'm just going to sit up. I'm going to shut up.
Yeah.
We got, I don't know how many minutes, maybe 5-10 minutes. And then they let us back in the car. And we was quiet and composed the rest of the evening. And every day since, because I was like, she really put me out the car. You don't really
like,
believe
I don't know what. Yeah. It's like you don't know.
It was cold. You know what I mean? It was dark. It was the 80s, man.
And it's Trenton, New Jersey. Like, you don't know what's going to happen.
I was like, man, what's going to happen next, Mom? You know what I mean? So, so I had a couple of those instances where you test the nerve and it's like, oh, I really will put you out the car. Like,
we used to do, like, my parents got divorced. Mm-hmm. And when they were married, my dad doesn't believe in hitting us. So I think he probably hit us. I can actually name, he hit me 3 times in my life, well deserved. It's like those are the moments you don't forget, right? My mom, she was the one that liked to spank, but also because we were some little assholes too. I remember we were like 5 or 4. Like, we're really good at counting at this point. And my mom used to do the count like 1. And I remember one time we were at Target and she was counting because I don't know what we were doing, just being rambunctious kids. And she goes 1, and then I turned to my sister because I'm like, I'm feeling bold because I'm like, you ain't gonna dare touch us in front of all these people in the store. So I turned to my sister and go 2. Paige, what comes after 2?
Oh, you wildin'.
And she goes 3. I'm like, good job. Like, when we got back to the car.
You probably got your sister one she didn't have coming.
Everybody got a piece of the end of that boat, that seat belt, that safety belt. My dad was more of the, I'm not upset. I'm just disappointed. And like, I want you to go into your room and think about why I'm disappointed. I'm like, can you read minds? Like, I'm like, just can you spank me? Just spank me. I don't want to go through this.
Yeah. We I don't at least just up here behind the curtain. I don't do physical discipline with the kids, but I have we have a well developed. Now we're gonna sit here. We're gonna talk about this.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna process this situation, figure out.
Let's hash this out.
Why did we do that?
And silence is not an answer.
Hey, no, I got all night. I can wait.
You sound just like my dad. I'm like, okay, maybe that's some old head stuff.
I got time. But the one thing I have for you is time.
And understand that's the most valuable thing you could get.
And sometimes we get, to full explanation. Sometimes maybe we don't. I don't know. But the general thing is we're gonna work this out. And then other times it's like, I need you to get away from me. Go in your room. I need you to leave me alone.
Well,
I'm gonna call you in a minute, and then we'll talk about this then. You know what I mean? And we try to do our best and all that. Word. Well, thank you. So third big question is, so what's just really important for you right now in your life? What's sort of just a big thing for Walter at this moment?
It's been an interesting year. I think the biggest thing for me right now is growing my business. 90% of small businesses fail within their first year. What was it, 80%, 90%?
A lot.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
Don't quote. I know it's over 80.
Yeah,
so,
not specific quantitative terms are all right.
Right. Don't quote me. We'll Google it later.
Yeah.
But that's just getting through a year was a huge, an amazing journey.
Yeah.
Not only did I learn so much about, the business world, working with clients, but I learned a lot about myself in battling, adversity in a different form that I hadn't experienced before. So that's pretty much the number one thing. And seeing, but actually now I have to redo my business plan. So just aiming high. I'm like, what is it I'm imagining what I want when I'm 35 and how my business can take me there.
Right.
So just thinking about all the things that I want to do, how I want to do it, who I want to do it with, and just staying true to myself and my mission and vision has been helpful, but also very enlightening, I think, to know that I can do this work.
Okay.
And people want to pay me for it. So like that's a blessing within itself. But boy, oh boy, has it been a humbling experience.
Okay.
Oh my God. Oh,
I mean, pursuant to confidentiality of things that you probably shouldn't share about someone else. What can you give just sort of the nature of something that you had to go, ooh, wow, that was rough.
Oh.
I had no idea.
It don't even necessarily have to do with work. So It's more about how I manage my money now. Because this is something I learned from my dad, right? So my dad worked in real estate. So he would go months without a check and then get one fat check. And it's like, you have to budget that. But before we start budgeting, going to go ball out. It's like, I got new shoes, new clothes. No, but with this is, it's very interesting to see how much capital that startups and new small businesses get when they start out, right? And the fact that there is a dwindling amount of resources available to those first timers, that was a struggle because I went from leaving a campaign that went awry to jumping into starting my own thing. And I would say I wish I had budgeted properly and made a plan for that. Because of that, I had some setbacks earlier this year. When I bought a new car, I drove down to LA and then it broke down. And I had to spend a lot of money and borrowed some money to actually get it done. I will say that the humbling experiences there was I had to Postmates for a few months. And no knock on Postmates, I'm just like, holy shit, that was some work. And don't get me wrong, I didn't mind doing it because I'm like, well, as the checks come in, when they come in, I need to have some kind of income because I'm not trying to get a normal 9 to 5. So that was in itself was just humbling because that actually taught me how to save. So it's like, you could make $100 a day doing this, or you cannot. So what are you going to do with that money and that task? Also, learning, you got to mean what you say and say what you want. And as I'm getting older, I'm understanding the true meaning of that. It's like, you got to shoot your shot. If you miss it, that's cool, but at least you can say you took it. So I'm saying I'm trying things that I've never done before. So it's been a lonely but amazing journey, especially when I reach out to friends who have done similar things. But yeah, no, it gets stressful at times. Yeah. Sometimes I was like, oh my God, I have no idea where I'm going to get rent from. Like, had those kind of experiences earlier on in my career. So now, breezing through. It's flying. I was like, I found some stability for a few months and learning how to budget around that successfully. So
yeah. Well, I think you touched on something significant there. I mean, especially one on the I guess we call it the gig economy, right? It's a tool, and depending on how much time you want to put into it, maybe it just be what you do all the time. However, if you're trying to do your business, and there's other job, and you got it's like you got to occupy the time to do both things well, which is stressful.
Makes for long days. Yeah. 10,
long days, early mornings, late nights, I imagine.
Yeah. The later the better, because people tip better at the end of the day. It's so funny too, because it's like I love going to houses that had like Black Lives Matter signs, because I'm like, ooh, they about to tip real well. Yes, they can't even believe what they just saw come to their door. Oh, instead of 15, we're gonna move up to 18%. Boom. Thank you. Love you, Portland, for that.
With your business, do you want to mind sharing like what it is you do?
Oh, yes. I started my own consulting firm, and my vision is to franchise the disenfranchised. And the way I do that is by working with the public, nonprofit, and private sector to develop equitable strategies that lead to social change. So if the long-term or short-term effects aren't, changing behavior, are creating culture by changing behavior, right? Mm-hmm. So that's something that's been fun, and it's one reason that keeps me in this city is like the opportunity to do that. Yeah. Watching this city town grow into a major metropolitan city has been amazing, and to be a part of that as that growth and say, you could put your finger on things that you've done like that excites me and makes me happy for the future.
Cool. Is there, pursuant back to our conversation where our point where we talked about that some of the stuff, like some of the BMA youth that we've connected with, and that you've connected with way more than me, I should add, have the exposure that they have. Is there something that you would want to say to them that has shown up in you moving forward with your business in terms of how a connection or a conversation, maybe that was fleeting in the past, and you're like, oh yeah, and then that created this other opportunity. Anything follow-up wise, or something to do immediately after you meet somebody that might be helpful, so that you don't lose track of things.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I've gone some time without following up with folks, and well, one, I would say if it's on your mind to do, just do it. That is what I've been learning. Like, don't put it off. Don't add it to a to-do list. Just do it right when it comes to your mind. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that gets hard for me because I be driving and I'm like, damn, I should be doing it. But anyways,
I'm driving right now.
Write it down. Take a little word note. No, but I'll say don't be afraid to follow up. I think the one hump that I had to get over was just no one's going to do anything for you. Mm-hmm. And I think it's like all I can do is open the door. You have to be willing to walk through it. So what I tell folks, because there are a few young folks I definitely still stay in contact with, got a few mentees now. I see these kids, these young men as like my little brothers, little cousins. So they're family. So all I can say to them is like, look, just email them, yo, talk to them like you would talk to me. Just send them a text message, send them an email, because these people have taken out their time to be here, and they want to be here. This is not something they're being forced to do. And everything they tell you in these meetings are very genuine. So when they say they'll reach back out to you, they'll reach back out to you. That's not, they're not lying about it. They're being very authentic and true to themselves, because they feel kind of similar the same way, where we talk about the alignment of values and morals, right? Mm-hmm. Started the day with this. It's like, these are folks who believe in, as I rise, don't forget to sit in the elevator back down. However, some of these folks, the older ones, like, had to build the elevator, or like, we're always taking the stairs. Some folks have only been stuck on a certain floor, and you don't know how you just even reaching out could help that person. So I like to say, like, I learn more from them than I think they learn from me. And I don't think they really hear me when I be saying that, but I'm like, it's true. I learn more about myself every year when working with young folks. This year, I learned a lot more about patience than I am used to. I thought I was more patient. And found out I'm not as patient as I thought I was. Yeah,
we learn something new every year.
Every
day.
I'm like, maybe I need to take a few steps away from this for a little while, because I'm yeah. That's the one we can't edit out. Yeah. It's like my next comment would have had to have been edited. Okay. Yes, sir. I have to dig it. Yeah, but that's all I would say is just do it. I guess it's very they tend to complicate things that are very simple. I believe in simplicity. So just do it. It's not as complicated as you may think it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's something as a world-class procrastinator, mm-hmm. and as I like to call it, I'm developing my strategy. Mm-hmm. Who will go like, yeah, I got to think about this.
I love that one.
Putting this together, I'm gonna do, and I'll sit with something for way longer than I need to, and I could have just been like, hey, man, I'd really like to get a coffee with you. And then, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm the same way.
And then you're later, you're like, man, why was I spending all that hemming and hawing, and oh, wait a minute, and how am I feeling about myself right now? Oh, my sneakers, I did clean my sneakers. Oh, my good t-shirt got a hole in it. Yep. I don't know, whatever reason that you may put something off for. I'm not feeling the greatest today. My stomach hurts.
Let's go to YouTube University.
Yeah, okay. I really need to learn about circular saws and how to timber frame, and like this, because that's just something
Are you rebuilding?
No, but that's just something you. But I really need to learn this right now, so I need to lock into this, and then when I'm done, oh man, embroidery. Who knew? You know what I mean?
That's crazy you said that. I spent 15 minutes last week learning how to make oat milk
cookies.
No, not like oatmeal. No, not oatmeal.
Oat milk.
This is bougie alternative milks.
Oh, I am.
Are you an oat milk fan?
Not necessarily. I don't really do any of the milks regularly, because I just don't eat stuff that needs milk that much. I don't put milk in my coffee.
Yo, what is wrong with you? Are you a serial killer?
Nah,
you just drink your coffee black?
I just drink.
What is?
I mix it up and get like a mocha or a latte every once in a while, but for the most part, I'm
Just drink it.
I'm like
brew it. I'll drink it.
Black,
Okay.
nigga, black McCoffee, black,
Right.
unmixed, natural as a cane,
black. New Jack City black. But anyways, oat milk. So
Okay, I'm familiar with oat milk. Tell me about it. What did you learn?
well, it was the most simplest. Like, you gotta love the Japanese, right? Like, they put this well shot video of him making oatmeal in like 15 minutes, but there's no sound. It's not like it's not like a like an American. You take 15 pounds of sugar and get like
have milk, and then you do this bing, bang, bang. Nothing. It's just
it was just pure sound. Like it would have like a description of what it was, and like it would tell you the amount, but it would just he didn't say nothing the whole time, and it was probably the most informative way I think I've learned how to cook anything in so long. I'm like, I didn't have to read nothing. I just had to watch this video and copy it.
the lighting was probably really good.
No, it was the camera angles, and it was hilarious. Like, it's like, how you be funny? You didn't even say no sound.
That's good movie making.
Great movie making. But no, it was a procrastination mode too. Like, I probably should have been doing something else, but got lost in the sauce.
It's hard to stay on at all times, and sometimes your brain, at least this is what I tell myself, your brain needs that, like, oh, I'm over here thinking about this other thing, and then when you go back to the thing, hopefully you'll pew, pew.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I'm going to be honest that sometimes it doesn't work that way, but I just end up being like, wow, I really spent 12 hours doing other stuff.
Yeah,
I got to get this done by 8 a.m.
By 8 a.m. Yeah, that's like, ooh.
let me buckle
This
up.
is either going to be my best. Let me get some of that black coffee so I can
Get
finish.
some of this black coffee,
Right.
man. Lock in.
But no, it's interesting you say that because my friend says she's deep into mindfulness, and what she really means is I love Oprah. And but she told me something that was really cool that I ended up reading in something else I was reading that it came up. So like Oprah and like Bill Gates and a few other billionaires, this is a privilege and a luxury, but they schedule in their day at least an hour to just do nothing and be. So they can choose to read a book, like do something that's mindful and educational. Which is pretty cool because it was also interesting when we went to Wieden Kennedy. The managing director there was talking about how he reads all the time, whether it's 15 minutes in between a meeting, before he goes to bed, when he's walking on the bus, like just pulls out his book and reads. And it doesn't matter if he reads 2 sentences or a whole chapter, he's still actively reading. And I thought that was cool and it inspired me. But then I procrastinated and I don't read. Yeah, no, I like to listen to Audible and Blinkist.
That's reading.
Nah, it's someone's reading to you. It's like adult.
It's reading.
It's adult kindergarten.
It works in the car, Walter. Okay, I ride in the car and I get through a lot of books every year in the car. You know what I'm saying? In between places. And then I feel read. That. Now I read something for a while. And then I put it down, and then I come back like 2 months later and pick back up.
What's your latest read?
Well, let me see. Wait. I'm finishing Seed to Harvest, which is Octavia Butler. It's like 3 books.
Yeah. Wild Seed
Pattern
to
Master.
Harvest.
Yeah, so it's Wild Seed. I can always forget the book in the middle. It's 3 different books, but I got it all in one big book because I like Octavia Butler's science fiction. Okay. And then the Pattern Master, I think, is the last one.
No, I love Octavia Butler.
Yeah, so I'm doing that right now, part time, and then I have a book I am aspiring to read that it's called Invisible Women, and it's about how much of our society basically does not consider women in the actual design of things, from cars to chairs to everything. Usually presumes a man as the person that's going to be doing whatever with it. So like, so to the degree that like cars are more dangerous for women because they literally don't use crash test dummies like that are based on like women's body mechanics and center of gravity and everything else. They just use a small man. They use a small man one. Like, that's like a woman.
Yeah.
Put it in there. And it's obviously, it's a big, thick book. There's a lot more stuff in there than just that. But so I started nibbling on that one. And then I got like 3 other books going in one way or another.
Well, good for
at
you.
all times.
I feel like you barely watch TV there.
I find time for all of it.
Yeah.
I jump in. I read real hard for like 2-3 hours, and then stuff happens.
Watch your show.
Step away. Get 15 minutes here, 10 minutes there.
I thought that's funny. One interesting thing I think you just brought up around the Invisible Women piece. So I forget what I was watching. I think I might have been watching John Oliver. But they were talking about how just women in healthcare and medicine, about how they weren't ever really studied.
Oh, yeah, no.
So it's like, so we just assume that you have the same side effects as a man, but with like more hormones or like more emotion. And I'm like, holy shit. Like they said that out loud on television. Like, yeah. And it made me think, because it was when you think about heart attacks, women's symptoms for heart attack are way different than men's. Like it's
nausea,
back pain, like things you would never think. Like, so there's probably thousands of women a day having heart attacks around the country and don't know it. Yeah. My grandma had a heart attack one time and didn't know she had a heart attack. Like she thought she was just having gas. But then also it's like, damn, women are strong. If like you could just be out here having a heart attack and not even know it.
She's having a hard time. She's not feeling good.
Can I have some ginger ale?
I gotta go lay down.
Yeah, let me get some ginger ale.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I gotta go lay down, which is the least to me is the universal black woman code for whatever's wrong with me. I just go lay down.
Right? Rest will cure it.
Just go in my room.
Is all the medicine I did.
You know what I mean? It's like, and so that, that's to me, like, is an exhibition of like the depth of challenge with things that we have going on in our world that aren't fair, that aren't right, that are totally fixable. Like they just require almost the minimal effort in which to go like, yeah, I should actually ask those people who are having that problem, hey, how's that going for you? Nah, I'm not going to talk to you. No, I'm going to talk to you. There's a white dude I know who kind of is about the same age as you, Walter. And he's like from L.A. County-ish somewhere. I'm sure it's just like you. I'm going to ask him about these things because it's probably just like yours, issues around this, whatever this is I'm doing a study on. And he's also here already, so I don't have to go too far. So I'm just going to take his information.
Wow, and just put it in. Yeah.
So how you feel about it? You cool with that? Yeah, I'm sure you're cool because why wouldn't you? All right, random guy. Come on, let's get going.
So I learned how to say this to the doctor. Can you please note that in my
chart?
My chart, please.
Yeah, that's one I've been learning.
That scares doctors. Like, actually, we need to run a few more tests.
Give me a moment. Hold on.
Yeah.
What do you mean by chart?
Do you know what I mean by chart? Yeah, that you're supposed to be writing this.
Yeah. So just.
Yeah. So I'm reading. What am I reading right now?
What you got reading?
I'm wrapping up a book. So I started this book probably about 3 years ago, and haven't finished it. I came back to it and just started it over because I ended up finishing it and then was like, but I don't remember. So it's this book called Never Eat Alone, which is about the power of networking, right? So it's been interesting to see like the things I've done naturally that they're like mapping out in this book, which has been pretty cool. But it's also learned a lot about how to not just grow your network, but weaponize your network. And that's been actually a good read for me. I've been reading, not like self-care books, but I've been reading a lot of articles. I do this website called Stumble Upon, where you literally just click a button and you get lost in the internet. Yeah. I've been doing a lot of deep dives into psychology, like to a point where I'm thinking like, might go back to school for this. But most likely we'll probably end up in law school, unfortunately. But
hey, listen, I mean, I don't know what kind of law you're going to do, but I won't be mad at you.
Yeah.
We need lawyers.
It would be law that makes me money. So I will sell my soul for a few years to pay off these debts.
You're renting. You're leasing.
Nah. Nah, bro.
You're going all the way in?
Yeah. I was just like, yeah, no. It's like, what gets me? I don't just want happiness.
I want to figure out happiness later.
Right. We'll figure that out when I meet the Lord. No, I'm just kidding. But I do like that renting or leasing deal on the soul,
like,
you know?
As as someone who, for, I guess I could say, cultural and identity, moral reasons, at a young age said, like, you know what, I'm going to focus on like being this certain kind of person, and like, you know, I may never make that much money, and what will. And then later time I go, I think I could have made a little more money whilst also maintaining like my self-development and cultural education, but also especially when people are in service and doing, I think that doing some work, one, people are very skilled, and sometimes they may think their skill is not useful in other worlds, where actually their skill is not only useful in other worlds, it probably is needed and would be better than what those worlds have. So go do that. Yeah. And we're all going to be here. The community's not going anywhere. Like we still need you later, and it would be great if you came with this extra pocket of change you got that you could throw on stuff every once in a while. And we would really, you know, not that we need you, not that we're asking for your money, Walter. We're just saying that if you got an extra $5,000 in there, you can put on this initiative. We really appreciate it as the community. Yeah, all people.
No, and eventually that's where I'm trying to get. Right. Yeah. It's so crazy when you think about that. One, getting back to the place where you're pretty much just mentioning value. And it is so powerful when you understand your value and worth and don't let anybody take away from that. And that's learned as well. You can be empowered, but until you take that step to understanding and really valuing your value in time, it changes a lot of things. I've learned that this year, even more this year. But also, too, I feel like I wasn't raised to think that money was a bad thing or that money was the root of all evil. I didn't like how I saw access to those resources being done through law, which is one of the reasons why I would want to go to law school, but also one of my hesitations, too. But that's a conversation for another time.
Yeah, we can dive into that on your second appearance.
Yeah, I do want to come back to another piece that you mentioned earlier. But another book I'm reading is, I feel like I'm reading all these self-care books. Sorry, like these business professional books. But I've been reading a book called How to Get to Yes, and it's a negotiating book. It's not that big. It's like this. And then my friend gave me this book that's, I think it's only like 10 to 15 pages, like a little small, little field book size, and it just says how to get shit done, and it is the most hilarious thing I think I read in a while, and it's kind of motivational too. So it's like some cool little quotes in there that make you happy. But that's what I've been reading. I would watch more movies than anything. I feel like there's lessons in a ton of movies.
Well, we're at the point in the conversation we can start to land the plane. Is there something that you said you wanted to come back to, though?
Yeah, it's gone. I wish I wrote it down.
Don't worry about it. Guess what? The power of the podcast is we can come have another whole conversation in the future. Because once you're a guest, you can be a guest again.
Quick question.
Yeah.
This is a question I've been wanting to ask you.
Oh, go for it.
When do you become an old head?
Well, it's a relational point, right? Yeah. Okay, so here, check it out. When I was like 10, 12, there was some kids that were older. I mean, my brother's only like 2 years older than me, but there was some, like older teenagers, maybe like 5, 6, 7 years older than us. And they would be like our relative old heads, because it's like, that's what's name. You know what I mean? They like they're old enough. They're older enough than you that there's some natural level of like, I can't really just be running up on you talking crazy because you're older than me, man. You know what I'm saying? And I should maybe listen. But from how I came up in New Jersey and in the Delaware Valley in the greater Philadelphia area, it is somebody that, sort of takes you under their wing a little bit. It's like, all right, they see something in you and they're like, let me, so they might give you information unsolicited sometimes. They might give you opportunities. They might stop you if they see you doing something. They like, boy, you don't belong over there. Like, what you doing with them? Man, get over there. Like, man, come with me. That kind of stuff. Okay. So as you age, obviously, someone who's an old head to you, one, and actually in the upcoming, will probably be the interview that'll be released before this one is released. My man's Pops is like kind of a collective old head to us in our kind of squad. You know what I mean? I also have a pantheon of different people who are part of, I call it the Justice Greater Network of Senior Advisors. And then I have an obligation and responsibility to, like, when I can, be in that position for other people. It's something usually, for me, somebody usually chooses you more so than, you can seek out, connection with somebody. Obviously, you understand the dynamics of a mentor. But that's, so it's relational. And then it also can be about maybe someone's relative knowledge in a world that you're trying to access. So y'all may be physically the same age, but they're in a position where they can be like, nah, check this out, look out for this. Wow. Or here's how you do it. And you go, oh, man, thank you, appreciate it. And then y'all had that exchange. And then you just in the same spirit that you started with, that you send the elevator back down, that you like, all right, look, I learned these things. Put it on here, take it, and use it if you feel, so inclined. Now, generally, some things that an old head is not just old.
Yeah, that was what I was about to say. I'm like,
just because you're older doesn't mean
you're an old head.
That you're automatically someone who is worthy of us taking
of
wisdom.
The title, right?
Now, maybe we learn to not do what you be doing and or have done.
Pitiful.
But generally, there needs to be a certain level of at least competence, at least in relationship to that which you have to share. It's a little. I know.
Noted.
Around, but that's relational. It's historic relational culture.
Well, yeah, because I'm looking at your Cordell Westbeard right now. And I'm like, yo, so are you just like the resident old head?
I mean, I suppose so at times. You know what I mean? I just, I guess, I've chosen the line of if stuff turns gray, I'm just riding with it.
Yo, I'm with you on that.
Because, I know I'm not calling none of y'all brothers out, and I understand there are professional concerns at times where, you got to deal with certain, with the dyes and what have you, because you don't need the young people, thinking they could take you down. However, I see you out here with that super jet black beard and you like 52 with a baldy. I know what time it is, Playboy. I'm not judging, though. I'm just telling you.
I'll judge. I talk shit to my dad all the time about this. I'm like, yo, go back to being Black Santa Claus. Stop it with your beard is darker than you.
Or just
like
shave
you, yeah. I'm like, yo,
the beard don't look like
enjoy
that's
it.
your hair.
Yeah. I'm like,
whose hair is that?
You're bald. Like, did you take some of my locks and just put it?
Just rub that in there.
Right. No, but I've been having this one gray hair that I keep pulling out. And I just need to stop because it grows back longer every time. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And I would say, at least for me, I mean, my mother's hair like went gray relatively young, woman like in her 30s.
Oh, nice.
And so she just sort of rolled with it. I was like, well, I mean, works for moms. Right. I'm just going I'm gonna let it do what it do.
Can't wait for the salt and pepper days.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's getting more salty than pepper.
Hey, we see it though. We see it.
But I got a little pepper holding on, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying.
Your Cordell Westbeard.
I mean, but also I'm prepared for, like I said, as long as I can figure out somebody else to pay for, me to get a doctorate in something in my life as, Professor, we're going to Professor Rajee's office. He'll know what to do. You know what I mean? That's my retirement plan.
Okay. Dr. Justice.
Like I'll be over there writing papers,
man.
Talking stuff. You know what I'm saying? People out on campus. Now why is he so mean? He's not mean. You just don't understand him. He came to our meeting. He told us our research was terrible. And I'm like, yeah, your papers are terrible.
Right.
You wasted my time with this.
Why do you have me here?
What do you want me to do? Hold on a minute. And then I point out some other young person that he knows what to do. Have him come to the meetings. You come see me. You talk to them. That kind of stuff. Nah, but it's that's part of the plan. This is all part of it.
I can't wait to take that class.
Nah, man, absolutely. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you as well.
Cool. So you mentioned movies, so I'll get you out on this question. Can you share just a movie that maybe you saw or perceived one way at whatever point in your life, and now you look at it and you go, you look at it or you experience it different than how you earlier remember experiencing it?
Well, let's go with something relatively, I guess that was a huge craze with like it being live action. Mm-hmm. Lion King. Mm. I experienced it completely different as a child that I did as an adult, right? Mm-hmm. I fully understand the meaning of Hakuna Matata now. And I want that Swahili life right there. No worries for the rest of my days. Back then, it was just a hot joint, as a child, like Hakuna Matata, right? It was an interesting introduction to death. And it also just made me think, like, what's up with Walt Disney? Like, he's always killing off a parent in every movie. So I did a lot of parent death. I'm like, yo, either the parent shot, throw it in a stampede, or just ain't there in the beginning. We're just like, yo, where are their parents?
Why are we subjecting children to these stories of their parents being separated from them?
And also, always thinking about like movies may end, but I feel like there's always more to it. So I feel like in every Disney movie, especially that I've seen, but especially Lion King, I felt like even in the ending there was an ellipsis, and that's powerful because I think about that in just life. This is just a moment in time, and time. My friend said this yesterday, but time only moves forward. So, yeah, that's the one movie that I'm thinking of that, like, I see it completely different now. Now there's a few more movies and television shows that I'm just like, I don't know if I would let children watch this. But, yeah.
Absolutely. I haven't seen the live action Lion King yet.
I haven't either. I
just figured out, wait. See it because I'm cool.
I'm not. Oh God, Beyonce's on it. Good for her.
Yeah. Congrats, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just not in a rush.
Beyonce not getting my $12. You're good, B.
Yeah, somebody else gonna get 12 on it.
I was like, oh, should I bootleg this? Nah, that's wrong. That's wrong.
Well, Walter, I want to thank you for coming on. I would look to have you on in the future. And maybe some topical conversations. I got another production concept in the works, and I'd like to maybe have you jump on that.
Hey, too. Would love to join you anytime, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Yeah. Peace. This has been the Ask Your Oldhead podcast with Justice Rajee and my guest Walter Robinson II.
Yep.
Take care. Peace.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Ask Your Oldhead podcast with Justice Rajee. Thank you to my guest, Walter Robinson. Thank you to you, the listener. Please listen, rate, subscribe, share, comment, all of those things. Thank you to Copper Consulting. Thank you to all the positive people out there in the universe doing what they got to do, doing what they need to do, doing what they want to do. In any event, be safe, be well. Peace.